All right, beautiful evening right here. I want to be answering a question on the mind of some of you, and that's the question is woven around: should you sell your piglets at winners at the winner stage, or should you raise them up to maturity? And in this video, I'll be sharing my mind with you, more like a ramble. I'll be giving you the pros and cons to every of those two things I've mentioned, either selling at winners or uh, nurturing them to maturity till they are probably about 6 months, probably attaining 70 kg, and then selling off. All right, so let's start from the winners, selling at winners. Now, let's talk about the advantages of selling your pigs at winner stage. You know, one of the key things, or let me rather say, two key things to pig farming that you all need to know is: number one, the housing; number two, the feeding. Those are two germane things that you must always consider while making any decision, because it's easy for you to do on a sheet of paper the calculations of multiplication when it comes to raising pigs. One female will give you at least 7 piglets, and then if you have 10, you get 70 and all the likes. But you see, you need to understand that two big factors to you being successful in any of the decision you're making is that you have, number one, the right feeds for them, your quality feeds, and then number two, you have the right spacings for them. That means you have the right housing for them. Now, if you sell at winner stage, let's take a picture for you having, let's just draw a picture and say you have 5 sows. The farrow, you get 7 piglets each. That's 35 piglets. So you have 35 piglets, or maybe we'll just reduce it to just even 2 sows. So you have two sows and you are getting 14 piglets out of them. Now, if you sell after they are weaned, of course, the present pricing I told you already is ranging between 50 to 150, depending on the breed, the quality, and then the farm, the location you are buying from. That's all varying. Now, let's use the minimum detail there. Let's say you sell a pig for 50,000 naira, for instance. Now, that means you sell your 15 piglets, or probably we say 10 piglets, for about 50,000 times 10. That's 500,000. Now, if you look at that, you have the privilege of then using the same space you have used over again and then breeding a new set, and of course you sell off again. So that means if you have 10 piglets, you can comfortably take in about 500,000 from each sales. Now you can have that sale done twice in a year, because piglets can be gotten from a mother twice in a year. You understand that already. If a sow takes in every, takes 4 months to deliver, so you can have 2 farrowing in a year. Now that means you having 2 piglets, you can have over 500,000, less than about 750,000 or thereabout, less than 1 million from your business every year. Now, don't forget that you're going to be feeding the sow, so you're going to factor in about maybe some of the amount, obviously, on them. So you can look at your profits, 500,000 to 1 million, thereabout. Now, let's go to the other side of the equation. If you are deciding that you're not going to sell those piglets at winner stage, you're going to raise them up till maturity. Of course, when you had, let's say you had 2 pens. If you are using 2 pens to breed your sows for farrowing, you'll be needing an extra, either if it's 15 piglets you're looking at, you'll be needing an extra 2 main. Of course, if it's very large, maybe you use 15 for one space, that would have to be freaking large, about probably a 10 by 30 feet to house 15 pigs, which I wouldn't advise you to always house just one. In short, a whole flock of 15 in one place. Some people do it. It's not a big deal if you're able to manage them properly, but you need to understand that it's good to have them sectioned, because if a disease is happening in one side, you can easily copy. That's one of the reasons why we have different compartments. So if you look at having to have 2 extra pens, you look at the cost for that 2 extra pens, and then also you look at the amount you're going to take to feed them. So if you're going to sell your pigs for about maybe 200,000 naira, for instance, you know you would have spent an average of about 100,000 on them. So that means you'll be needing about, for 10 pigs, you'll be needing about 1 million to raise them up, and you'll be needing about 1.5 million to raise 15 pigs. Now, look at the whole thing. If you have, let's say 15 pigs, 1.5 million, that's for 6 months. Don't forget, we're factoring in quality feeds also in everything we're saying. If you don't have quality feeds, you're not going to raise animals to the market stage in 6 months. You're going to be using almost a year, sometimes more than a year. So we are looking at having good feeds. So let's say you expended about 100,000 naira or beyond. Of course, you raise your pigs, they're ready in 6 months. So that means you can have, of course, you can have 2 flocks. So you can have 30 at the end of the year, obviously. That's about 3 million. If you're dealing with 15, 1.5 million, 1.5 million, you'll be needing 3 million to raise them in whole. Of course, we know the 3 million will not come once. You can obviously do a rollback from the first flock to the second, to the next flock. So the first 15 gives, you need about 1.5 million to raise them up rightly. Now, you need also 2 extra spaces, or at least a 10 by 30 feet housing. Now, if you look at the profit on the raising them to maturity, you will understand that for your 1.5 million input, you'll be making about let's say about 1.5 also thereabout. So in 6 months you're making that amount, and in 1 year you're making double of that. Now, if you look at that in comparison with you selling your piglets, you will see that selling at piglets, selling Weaners, is quite safe. It's a safe model where you just have maybe limited space. You have just 2 spaces for the sow. You sell piglets and you get them back to you breed them again, and then you sell. You can make probably about, let's say 1.5 when you sell 15. You understand the metrics there. That means you're dealing with 750 for the first 15. If you're selling at 50,000 and then you're selling another 750 for the second one, that's about 1.5 in whole. And then you only have to feed mostly the mother, which will not take close to 500,000. It may take the 2 mothers, actually, what do I say, 1.5 million. The 2 mothers will take at least 500,000, if not more, to feed them for the whole year. They should take about 500,000, if not more. So your profit margin is 1 million or less when you're dealing with selling the Weaners, while your profit margin for that of when you raise them up to the market stage is about 3 million. If we've done the calculation already, if you spend 100,000 on raising an animal, obviously you're dealing with an extra 100,000 on profit or thereabout. Of course, don't forget that 3 million we're talking about, we would have to have done an extra housing on it also, and we also would have had to feed the 2 mothers also in the process. So you look at that 3 million, if you look at the cost of the extra housing and the cost of feeding the mother, you know that your 3 million will be reduced to almost 2 million, thereabout 2 million, while that of the Weaners is about 1 million or thereabout less than that. Now, that gives you a whole picture around what decision is best to make. But let me now bring in the last factor that you need to also think about, the market. I don't know in your area, and that's why you have to also consider many of all these things while making a decision. In our area right here, we don't have so much of a very great market for the Weaners, because you only have Weaners market when you have people that are fattening, when you have lots of fatteners, people that are more into the fattening model. We don't have too many of that here, so you don't get to sell too many Weaners. So you understand that part also. Factoring that in gives you a whole new scenario where you may not even get markets for Weaners, but for that fatteners market, that one is quite more than the Weaners, because obviously lots of people kill them to heat. So people kill them to heat for the market, for butchering. So you understand how to make your decision with every analysis I've given you. So if you ask me what's my take on it, which should you go for? Well, I will tell you to factor in everything I've said: your cost, the money you have on hand, the housing you have on hand, and the market you have on hand. All right, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.